Well, here we are again. I am not having a good time today. I have been playing Starfield again over the course of the past week. And I am at the point in Starfield where I'm getting close to level 300, and the maximum level is 325, effectively. Because once you make level 325, there's no point to more levels. You've already got everything you're ever going to need a level to get at that point. And it's gotten really tedious grinding out the levels, which I'm trying to get taken care of because I'm so close to that milestone, and I want to get there and be done with it. But God, it's so tedious and so problematic. So I'm playing a lot, but I'm not having any fun, and I'm not going to be having any fun for a while because I've got like 4 hours of grinding to do, and I don't want to, and it's not fun. But it's like, it's there's like this odd compulsion to do that, to do the grinding and to get that taken care of and to just kind of make that last little bit come across. So as I've been doing that, I've been kind of thinking about stuff. And one of the things I've been thinking about is I don't really draw anything simplified. I need to do that. There are some little things that I've done, like if you just draw a circle and then in the middle of that circle you put this little kind of X with a cross on the top. Well, you have an animal face, and all you have to do to make this into a specific kind of animal is choose a kind of ears. And it's like, obviously that's a cat, but then this, well, that's a teddy bear. And if you let the ears hang down, well, now you have a dog. And this kind of simplification and stuff is, it's really useful for cartoony kinds of graphics. And one of the things I've been thinking is, I used to have kind of a webcomic back in the day. I started it on September 11th, 2000. And in the next year, I was doing my big anniversary blowout. I was going, oh man, September 11th, 2001 is going to be like the day for my comic having its anniversary. It was not a big day for my comic. Nobody cared about my comic's anniversary. They were focused on something else. But the whole thing about my little webcomic was it was just a bunch of little crappy drawings, and they were done in Microsoft Paint, and they were done with a mouse. So like all of it was stuff that was like drawn really badly. And all of these kind of figures, the whole point was that it was terrible. And one guy that read my comic, he said one time, everybody was like, the drawing is such shit. And he said, actually, these are fairly sophisticated gesture drawings. And I was like, cool, somebody actually recognized that I try to make the pose read so you can tell what's going on. I always had kind of this image in my head of what a person was doing, and I tried to make sure that this came across when I drew the person, and I was thinking about if I did that comic today, it would be a very different comic, because even if I'm trying to do crappy images, my idea of a crappy image today is substantially different from my idea of a crappy image 23 years ago, 24 years ago. Good Lord. And I always did kind of have an ambition to do a next generation sort of comic that actually had some decent artwork on it. And I tried to find somebody to do the artwork for that. I tried to find an artist to work with. And on 3 separate occasions, I found an artist to work with, and we did some work together, and then each of the artists threw a fit about not wanting to do the comic the way I wanted to do it. And I don't understand that. Like, if you get somebody and you say, hey, I need an artist to actually draw this thing, I'll do the writing and you do the art, and then they get mad that they don't want to draw what you wrote, what part of this didn't you understand? That's very frustrating. I have a lot of trouble working with artists. I don't know what this episode is going to be. I'm having one of those sort of despondent moments where I don't feel like my art is productive. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with it. I don't feel like I'm making progress. I mean, I am, because, I learned all kinds of stuff about making better landscapes and whatnot, and I did a better job of drawing a landscape the other day, and I had I had something approximating a decent landscape painting. I wasn't happy with it, but at least I did something. And it was an improvement over stuff that I'd done before. But I got very frustrated kind of watching the I get very frustrated watching the various tutorials on landscapes, because everybody's talking about, here are the brushes you use, and I'm trying really hard not to use custom brushes or textured brushes. I mean, I'm using some modified brushes, but they're still they're just basic brushes. There's nothing particularly special about them. Like, my sketch brush is kind of like semi-opaque, so that I can go over something over and over again, and it kind of converges on the thing that I want, and I can just sort of focus on doing a kind of scribbly feeling around and finding the shape that I'm looking for. Just kind of carving around that way. I don't know how useful that is anymore for me. I don't know how much I want that to be the way that I work. I've got my cell shading, which is, again, that's just a hard edge, semi-translucent, and then there's a soft shading, which is soft edge, semi-translucent. It's very similar to the sketch brush. But you see that with the sketch brush, I'm pressing very hard, but it doesn't really get very large. Whereas if I switch over to the cell shading brush, you can see that if I press very hard, it gets very kind of bright. Aren't these supposed to get larger as I press, or is that just the... Yeah, it's the That's that one. That's the line. And then the cell shade pretty much doesn't change size. Yeah, the cell shade changes opacity with pressure. The more pressure makes it more opaque, and then I can kind of work that in. Same with the soft shade, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I need to work on techniques that actually produce reliable results. That's the problem I run into over and over is I'm not using techniques that produce the results that I want, frequently because I don't know what those techniques are. I don't know what I'm supposed to do to get the result that I want. And if you don't know what to do to get the result that you want, then you're not going to get the result you want reliably or consistently. And that's very frustrating. I don't know that I'm even going to get to the 20-minute mark on this. I mean, I need to. 20 minutes is bare minimum for a stream. I don't feel like I have anything useful to say about this. I'm just kind of floundering and looking around and going, well, I don't feel like I have a real command of my tools, and I'm not really sure how to work on that, because it's like what I'm doing here, I'm trying to go bold and then trail off, and then trail into bold, trail in, trail out, trail in, trail out. I don't know how useful that is. I don't know how meaningful that's going to be in anything. I'm just not really feeling like anything I do is getting me closer to where I want to be. And I'm not sure how to fix that. I'm not sure how to go about improving my command of the tools, improving my command of technique. I feel like technique in a vacuum is useless. You know, you have to use it to get somewhere. You have to accomplish something with it. You have to start out with an end point in mind. You have to say, okay, there's a thing that I want to do. I want to make a thing happen, and I need to use my tools in a way that makes this thing happen. But using your tools in a way that makes that thing happen is just kind of you're floundering. You're working in the dark, and not really making any meaningful progress. I don't feel like I'm making any meaningful progress. I mean, I am, but it just doesn't feel like it. I look at the amount of work that I have left to do, and I look at the amount of time it's going to take to do it. And it's just, if I look at if I come in here and I grab the character work that I've been doing, you know, if I grab this like collection of characters and I open that up, you know, each of these, I need 11 different versions of each of these characters. And on reflection, I don't even really like any of these versions of any of the characters. I feel like all of these need to be redone, especially the shy ones. It's like you know, Shizuka and Kyoko in particular, those need to be redone, and I really feel like there's so much work that needs to be done, and I've got so little of the work finished that I just hit these moments of despair, and I think we all hit those. I think that's just part and parcel of being an artist and working on this kind of stuff. It's like anything that you're doing, there are times that you feel things are going well, and there are times that you don't feel that things are going well. And I'm not sure what the best way to respond to this is. I'm not sure what the best way to make the improvements I need to make is. It's like I got to a fairly good place when it comes to I got to a fairly good place when it comes to making skies. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with getting that place and making these sort of sky gradients and doing it manually, so it's not an automated thing. There's actually like there's texture to it. There's artistry. There's technique, and I'm fairly proud of that, because that's some work that I put in to try and make a particular effect happen. And that work paid off. And getting that kind of work to pay off is fairly significant and substantial. You know, and getting this to work, and then coming in and just taking the blur tool and being able to go back and forth across it and get a smoother texture. And just kind of make that feel atmospheric and not too banded. And then you can widen it out and you can get an even smoother look. And I feel like that was a really useful way to I feel like that was a useful technique I developed there, and I haven't been doing that kind of thing in in other areas. I haven't put any work into character design in a good long time. It's been like months. I haven't done any work on I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I just haven't put in any further work on. Like I had this image of Pecora leaping out of a window, and I never really got much of anywhere with it when I kind of went. I mean, I got some work done on it, and it was coming together, and then I just kind of dropped it and abandoned it, and I don't know whether I'm ever going to whether I'm ever going to go back in and finish that. Now, the idea there was to kind of get more experience working with backgrounds and get more experience working with that kind of perspective thing and looking at something in deep perspective and working with some foreshortening, and then I just never finished that. I don't know. I don't know how to move forward from this at the moment, and that's not a good place to be for trying to do a stream and say, well, here's where things are. I think the best thing to do here is to just go, I'm having a bad week. But it did show up. That's the important thing. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing your thing. And I don't know. It seems like every few weeks I make some progress, then I get to a point and I just crash, and I end up here again. And I don't know how to resolve that. I have trouble keeping the momentum of moving forward and making progress and getting things done. I don't know. This has been a shitty stream as usual. I've been doing a lot of shitty streams lately. I got the 20 minutes in at least, so yeah, do the little YouTube dance with the likes and comments and subscribe. You're not gonna do any of that. Nobody fucking watches these. Like, I don't. I was about to say I don't know why I bother, but I do know why I bother, and the reason why I bother is I have to keep showing up. This is like this is just bare minimum. Just show up for 20 minutes every single week. And it's like, I mean, even the sort of stretch goal of let's do an hour, that's kind of bare minimum. And I have to keep doing it. I have to keep doing this, or I'm just going to drop everything and it's all going to go to absolute shit. Anyway. I'm not having a good time. Shit happens, you know. You don't always get to have a good time. It's not the way that it's not the way that things happen all the time. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and call it. It hasn't been a good stream, but it hasn't been a good stream for a while now. So it's it's been a couple of months since I did a good. Actually, last week was close to having a good stream. I need to watch the negative shit and telling myself, no, it's always bad. It's not always bad. Last week was pretty good. I need to do more streams like the one I did last week. Or more streams of the quality of the one I did last week. Not necessarily the same thing. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave this one, because I'm not going to be any fun. You don't want to watch me sit over here and mope and gripe and complain about shit. None of you are even still watching this anyway, so hey, what can you do? Anyway, I'll be here next week. I'm just going to keep showing up, and maybe next week will be better.